All right, so what we're doing today, we've got several sections here. We've got the goals and the format for this study group. We've got a timeline. So what months are we looking at? What subjects per month, per week, that type of stuff. We'll talk about our past sessions and successes, how many people passed, that type of stuff. Mental preparation, requirements, what you're going to need to be in the study group. Resources that we offer, quite a few that are specific to Router Gods. Slack specific, so the rooms that you'll need to join in Slack. The ways to lab, and then the specific stuff for INE is the GNS3 specifics and what we've done on the INE. We've got, open mics everywhere. All right, there we go. Okay, so quite a bit to follow. Hopefully, I'll keep it to about maybe just over an hour. All right. And for those of you who just joined, I'll paste the HackPad link in the chat window again. All right, goals and format of this study group. So we've done this study group before. We've kind of refined it over the years, and what we're going to do is we're going to have the study group's going to, as a group, we're going to lab through the INE workbook in the following order. So if you've bought the workbook, you'll know that you start off with advanced technology, and these are the 10 router labs. Then you go into the foundation labs, advanced troubleshooting labs, and then full-scale labs. I think they're up to, it's either 2 or 3 full-scale labs right now. And then hopefully by the time we get all the way to the end of the full-scale labs, hopefully they'll have more. As you get on past advanced technology, the labs start having 20 routers about. And then as we get somewhere in this section, we'll be more specific in the timeline. People will start scheduling lab dates. They'll start scheduling their written exams. And then when enough people have their lab dates scheduled, we're going to switch into what's called our famous D-Day mode. And our last D-Day mode was when everyone was rushing for V4. This was between 2013 and mid-2014 when we were trying to beat the June deadline. That wonderful June 2014 V4 deadline. And this was when we were labbing every day with Cisco 360 practice labs, and we got up to doing 2 labs per day, which is pretty freaking nuts, but that's what it takes to pass this damn thing. And then what I suspect will happen is all of us, both the Micronics and the INE group. So INE group is on one section of the week. The Micronics group is in a different section of the week. We're labbing our respective workbooks. I'm going to try to keep the topics somewhat in line. So if the INE group is doing OSPF, the Micronics group should be doing OSPF kind of along the same time. There might be a couple weeks offset, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And then as we finish up our workbooks, we merge together into a single group and form Voltron, but that's when we start doing the Cisco 360 labs together. But up until then, we'll be separate. Got an open mic, so just check your mics. And of course, what I'll do is, as I'm talking, I'm going to stop at the end of every section, and then you can ask me questions either audio or in chat. So keeping more into the format, this is a study group. I emphasize that. It's not a class. This is a study group. So what I mean by that is that normally in meetings is I'm the one talking, kind of like in this meeting. I'm the guy talking and people are listening. In the study group, hopefully I'm not talking as much. I'm basically there just to crack the whip. So, it'll be something like, okay, let's do OSPF task, task 1 through I don't know, 7, on a particular day. And, I just kind of keep you on track. If it looks like people are having trouble, then we can adjust, slow down. If it looks easy, we speed up. We talk through our problems. We all share our screens. If you have a misunderstanding, you can talk about it. Say something like, well, in CCNP, I learned it this way. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? That type of stuff, right? And it allows us to bounce ideas off of each other. And but the main thing is what I call shared misery. It sounds bad, but it's not really bad. Those of you guys who have been studying for CCIE know that it can be a lonely venture without a study group. So labbing for countless hours a day with no one to talk to kind of sucks. So this way, in Google Hangouts, we're going to use Google Hangouts. You'll know that on the other side of the mic are, other people, 10 other people that are doing the same thing. So going through the same stuff that you are. And I'm not going to be the guy assigning homework or anything like that. I'm not going to be saying, okay, read chapters 1 through 3 of the NARBIC, that Cisco Press workbook, or not workbook, but the Cisco Press book. I'm just assuming that you're reading on your own, you're looking through the doc CD on your own, that type of stuff. And you're mainly teaching yourself. As you're labbing, you're learning stuff. You're doing most of the hard work. You're doing 99.9999% of the hard work. I'm just cracking the whip. That's all I'm doing, along with other people. Google Hangouts. So I know today we're using Fuse, but we're using Google Hangouts for the actual study group. And the reason for that is the interactivity is a little bit better. I kind of like it. And my account right now can support up to 15 people. Normally Google Hangouts is 10 people, but I pay the $5 a month and it's up to 15. So that should hold everyone that wants to attend, I hope. If not, we'll figure it out. The dates or the days should be Wednesday and Thursday of each week. And the reason for that is Monday and Tuesday are the Micronics guys. NARBIC. Right? So Monday and Tuesday, Micronics, Wednesday and Thursday, INE. And if you're crazy, then you can attend both if you're crazy. And we'll talk about different workbooks and companies and advantages, but basically I'll just let you know up front that the 4 out of 5 people that pass CCIE in my study group, we all used both workbooks. So unfortunately, you buy both. You don't have to go to both boot camps, but we'll talk about that later. In the Hangout, everyone shares their screen. So no watching, no creepy watching, voyeurism, anything like that. Everyone shares their screen. Everyone's going to be labbing. And not recorded. So you don't have to worry about what you say or anything like that. Okay, before I go onto the timeline itself, any questions? So you can either unmute your mic or go in the chat window. Joshua says, INE has a great deal on the 2-year pass. Yes, they do. And it's you pay up front, and it equals out to about 45, $50 a month, and includes every single workbook that they have. So that's a damn good deal. So essentially, if you value the workbooks at, let's say, $500 for all of them, then let's see, you're basically paying $500 for 2 years for their all access pass. So, questions about goals and format. Okay, cool. We may get through this really, really quick. Okay, timeline. Please remember that even though we sort of have a plan, as we've discovered in the past, that whatever plan we make, it just goes to all hell when we actually start labbing. So we're able to adjust. That's our motto. We just do it live. Bill O'Reilly is our patron saint. We do it live, and we just deal with the consequences later. Sessions 2 times a week, about. And sessions could last several hours. So in the past, we've gone to 3 to 4 a.m. You don't have to stay all the way to 3 or 4 a.m., but it's gone that way, especially in BGP. Just for some reason, they tend to last. And we've had some good sessions where we've had some quite heated arguments about certain things, and it seems weird, but after you lab it up and you have that argument and you figure it out, you'll never forget it. So that's pretty cool. Now, as far as timeline, we're looking at completing advanced technologies within about 5 to 6 months. So right now it's May, so we're looking at October or November by the time we finish Advanced Technologies Lab. Might, depending on the skill level, might go faster. Then we get into Foundations Lab. There's not that many. So Foundations Lab and Advanced Troubleshooting Labs, I'm guessing that might take 1 month, maybe less. I'm going to guess slightly less than 1 month. And then full-scale labs, about 1 month. And these are the ones where the INE says you should finish them in about 6 hours. But we'll take it slow. We might split up the full-scale lab over like 2 days or something like that. And then the Cisco 360 practice labs. That's when we're in D-Day mode. People have scheduled their labs. And that's when we start going like real hardcore labbing. Everything before D-Day, everything before the Cisco 360 practice labs, this is softball stuff. You're doing the technologies by themselves generally. When you start doing the Cisco 360 practice labs, you're going to be knocked down a notch, and the reason is it's you have to like throw everything together. And how many of you out there have not seen the Cisco 360 Practice Lab workbook? Okay, not many people. Okay, now let me just show you a quick Cisco 360 Practice Lab workbook you buy through the Cisco Learning Network store. And it's been updated to version 5. Let's see if I hate their website. Okay, the hell with their website. Hang on for a second. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I threw it in my my OneDrive. It comes in the config section and the T-shoot section. In the config section, there are 10 labs. So the reason it's 10 labs is in the V4 workbook, there were I think labs 1 through 36. I don't remember, 1 through 36 or 35, and the last 10 or so were updated for V4, and everything before that was kind of like V3, so they had some weird funky stuff in there. And so what they did, I'm guessing, is they took the last 10 that were updated for V4 and they elevated these up to version 5. That's what I'm guessing. And these labs are pretty cool. Let me just show you here. And we got here, let's see, it says 6 hours, gives you a score, says it's intermediate, gives you IP, here's the logical diagram, here's the switch diagram, all the tasks, all the tasks, IPv6, remember IPv6 in version 5 is, there's a lot more, got BGP, QoS, multicast. Ooh, 9 points of multicast. So, yeah. And when you first start doing these, I'll just give you a little heads up. When you first start doing these, it may seem that getting through switching takes freaking forever because you're not used to it. You're not used to doing all these VLANs and funky trunking and you know, just inner switch links are all just weird. See, usually in real life you're doing this, right? You've got 4 switches. You know, everything's connected like that. You know, in real life you just trunk everything. Like F it. You know, trunk everything, ether channel, good to go, we're out of here, right? As you can see here is you don't trunk everything. And the reason for this is in the real lab you're using IOU. And so since everything is virtual, IOU, if you form a loop, and so if you have a loop in IOU, the thing crashes. So every single lab, and even the real lab, you're never going to have all your everything on. So things are going to be shut down, and it's part of the lab, but it's also because you're hitting a limitation of IOU, so to prevent it from crashing. So getting through the section of like switching and DMVPN, your first time through one of these practice labs, this may take you 4 hours. I mean, you may not even get out of it. And that's okay. You know, first time it takes 4 hours, maybe the next time at 3 hours, so on and so forth. When we were in our practice sessions in the previous version, we would get out of switching and frame relay. I think our record was like 8 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes, and we just like blew through it. I mean, you get amazingly fast after a while. And it may not seem that you can get through this in 8 minutes, but trust me, if you lab enough, eventually you'll just be locked on. And you need that to get extra time for later, because BGP is going to hurt, MPLS is going to hurt, everything past DMVPN is going to hurt. So you need to save as much time here as possible. Okay, so that's Cisco 360 Practice Lab Workbook. Pretty cool. I forget what the price is, but it's well worth it. Okay, let me just take a look at some of the questions here. Joshua put in a link, Fastlane training. Yeah, Fastlane. Matthew says, to hell with their website, uttered countless times. Yes, I agree. Anthony, so do they provide a virtual lab for doing these labs? Yes, they do. I'll talk about that later. Yeah, they do. And unfortunately, they're kind of bastards about their virtual labs, but we'll get to that point. Okay, what you want to do is you kind of want to set a soft deadline for yourself. You want to say, okay, if I start this journey, I want to get my CCIE by end of the year. You know, it doesn't have to be like by December 10th, 2015 or something like that. Just say, you know, kind of looking for end of the year, mid next year. You know, maybe you're not even planning on getting CCIE. You're just trying to get CCNP. And I know there's one guy in here, Brian McNair, asked me about that. So we'll talk about that. And in the Slack room that we'll talk about later, everyone just put in kind of like your schedule and your deadline in there. Just say, I'm good on Mondays and Wednesdays, or I'm good at Wednesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m., something like that. Just to give us an idea of what times are good for everyone. And I already explained about the technology cadence. So we've got the INE group. We've got the Micronics group. You both are kind of going lockstep. You know, so if we're doing OSPF here, we should be doing OSPF here. If we're doing BGP here, we should be doing BGP there. And then eventually we come down and we all merge together. It's a little different with INE because Advanced Technology Workbook, it's done per subject, and it's all advanced. There's not really very simple stuff. There is kind of simple stuff in advanced technology, but they hit you with curveballs everywhere. Micronics, it's the foundation, which is pretty easy. And then advanced R&S, and you repeat the same topics over and over as you go through the Micronics workbook. It's just the configuration gets progressively more difficult. So you revisit the topics over and over again. Whereas with the INE workbook, if you went straight through, it's a very linear fashion where you go like switching and then, BGP, MPLS, let's say QoS right here, whatever it is. And then it's like, if you're not careful, if you just blow through INE and you don't review, you'll be in trouble, right? So they're just, the workbooks are formatted a little bit differently, but it's not a big deal. So in the past, what we've done is in 2013 to 2014, for several months, we were doing these study sessions. Sometimes there'd be like 4 people, sometimes 5 people. I think we started something like 7 or 8. We had people that hadn't even gotten their CCNP yet, so no CCNP, and it's that was fine. I remember Alex from Florida was in there. We had a guy from Alaska. Joshua was in there from Southern California. Co-organizer was in there. So it's fine if you don't have your CCNP yet. It's okay as long as you have the aptitude and you're willing to stick through it. Now, if you just got your CCNA, if you're just starting off, I probably wouldn't recommend this. It's not going to work for you. It's going to be too high over your head. But if you're CCNP, I think you should be fine. Right? And as I said, 4 out of 5 eventually passed. Tim, Suki, I don't know if I spelled his name right. John, and Martin. He's going to kill me if I forgot his name. So Tim, Suki, John, Martin, all 4 took Narbix Bootcamp. All 4 purchased INE's workbook. All 4 also, if you go through Narbix Bootcamp, you do Narbix workbooks as well. So I'm also part of this group. So these 4 got their number. We don't talk about that, but you can kind of see here that just the way it works is if you want to pass, you're going to need to buy. You don't need to, but most everyone that passes is purchasing. They are purchasing both sets of workbooks. Just kind of the way it's turned out in the past. And Joshua, are you on? All right, I'll just talk about Joshua. So Joshua joined our CCIE study groups. He went through, he lasted all the way from OSPF, BGP, kept in there, and he didn't even have his CCNP yet. We have an open mic. Okay. So Joshua didn't have a CCNP. He went through our sessions, our study sessions. He labbed. I saw him labbing. So he stuck through it. And he passed his CCNP tests, CCNP route he brutalized. And it's okay. So I know someone asked me earlier today about if they didn't have CCNP. It's fine. You can join these sessions. Now, I will have a caveat here. If I think that you're really slowing people down and you're asking simple stuff like what's spanning tree, like that would be bad, then I'll ask you to leave the study session. So I don't expect everyone to be like super awesome, but there comes a point where if there's 15 people all going for CCIE, and then there's one person in the group, I'm not going to let the one person slow down the 15 people. That's, we're going to have to make a judgment call about that. But, if you're a little bit behind, not a big deal. It's okay. I don't expect perfection here. And we're all crazy for doing this anyways. But, if it's obvious that, I'll give you an example. So you just got your CCNA, you brain dumped it, then it's going to be a bad day for you. And just throwing that out there. Okay, let me take a look at some of these questions here. Jim says, will we be running GNS3 for both NARBIC and INE? We'll talk about that. And yes, I've got GNS3 converted configs and topologies for both. Questions about our past successes and sessions. Okay, mental preparation. Probably I would consider this the most important part of all of this. In the chat room, how many of you are just kind of looking at CCIE? You've heard about it, kind of looking about it, you're going, maybe, should I be doing this, should I not? You're kind of still in the exploratory stage of seeing if you want to do this or not. Versus people are basically saying, okay, I'm getting the CCIE, no one can stop me. I just want to see the breakdown of the people in the room. Okay, so it looks like people they're going for it. I did see one question about reading, right? So you're labbing, but you're not reading. You should be labbing and reading at the same time. So that was the mistake I made early on. Is I thought, okay, I read everything first and then I lab. That's just a bad move. You should be labbing. Have the book next to you, read as well, pick an off day on Sunday. Well, we'll talk about it in mental preparation, but just have an off day where you could just sit in the cafe or something reading the book. You're gonna need a cheat day, kind of like when you're dieting. Some cheat day, Sunday is a good day, or else you will go crazy, just like a lot of other things. Okay, mental preparation, the most important part. You're going to run into, as you're studying for CCIE, you're going to run into a lot of things that are unknowns. How do I do this? How do I do this? I've never seen this. I've never, a lot of people DMVPN. Switching. GNS3, you're going to run into a lot of things that are just like, it's going to be continuous. And you're going to have days where you're going to go, oh, okay, I think I'm doing good. I'm up here. I think I'm kicking ass. And then the next day you're just going to drop down there because you get your ass kicked by some lab, right? You're going to have days where you're learning OSPF. You think you got it, and then boom, you just get knocked down again. That's just part of studying for CCIE. You just have to get used to it. You just can't let it get to you. You just have to plow through. You just have to keep labbing. There's going to be days where you don't feel like labbing. You're just going to say, I don't want to lab anymore. But you gotta, if it's not that cheat day, you just have to power through it. A lot of candidates run into this. I call it the analysis paralysis. You say that, I've heard this a lot. I haven't labbed yet. I haven't started labbing yet, because I don't know what to buy. What do I buy? Or my books aren't in yet, or my GNS3 isn't set up, or my laptop's only 4 gigs. I can only run, I can't run 8 routers with my crappy laptop. Stuff like that. And these people freeze. They don't go forward. So if you don't have all your lab yet, that's fine. Do a rack rental. If you don't have all your books yet, that's fine. start with one book. You don't have to buy all the books at once. If you don't have money to buy to go to the boot camp, that's that's acceptable. Just go with the workbooks first, and then work out some deal to deduct the cost. There's many ways of going through this. If you don't have money to buy a rack, if you want to get a real rack, some people get real racks, but you don't have the money to do it. Find someone who has a real rack and work something out. Do a rack rental. Lots of ways to do this, but never let a lot of people want perfect. There's no perfect in this, and we'll get to that with the waste of lab and stuff like that. A lot of people go, well, GNS3 doesn't do switching, and viral cost money. It's like nothing's going to be perfect. Even a real rack is not going to be perfect. Don't wait for us. Don't wait for any of the studied sessions. Start reading and labbing now. A lot of people go, well, I want to set up a schedule before I start reading and labbing. It's like, no, just get that workbook and turn to a page, something like, let's say BGP, I don't know, OSPF, something like that. Just start doing some stuff. Have fun with it. And that's important. Is it should be at least a little bit of fun. Yep. And that's James. He attempted the lab, and it's much respect for anyone who's even attempted the lab. And talking about inertia, not a big deal to fail. It's okay. I had fun all 4 times going up there, so not too big of a deal. You're going to experience mental ups and downs. We talked about that. It's going to be kind of like this, right? It's just the way it is. That's okay, and I think Cisco understands that. This is like the war of attrition. They want you to study for a year, 9 months to a year, and see if you have the fortitude to just keep at it, and just study weird ass topics that no one ever plays with. They know that most people don't do multicast. They know that most enterprise guys don't do BGP, right? They know that a lot of people don't do DMVPN. They know this. OSPF. Okay, basic OSPF, I hope to God that you know basic OSPF, but there's like funky stuff out there that that no one in their right mind would want to do. And Cisco makes you learn all this. Studying for CCIE is very different than CCNP. Any of you guys, for those of you guys who just finished CCNP and you think, okay, someone told you wrongly that CCNP or CCIE is just you've probably heard this before, CCNP with a lab. Just take the same topics of CCNP, make it a lab, and that's CCIE. So anyone who tells you that is bullshitty. It's like they have no idea what they're talking about. This is completely different. CCNP is kind of standards based. Okay, this is the correct way to do OSPF. It may be a couple areas, but just regurgitate a correct way of doing OSPF, a correct way of doing BGP, stuff like that. CCIE, completely different. It's getting a shitty network to work. So getting a network that no one in their sane mind would have built, held together by spit and rubber bands, and you're there trying to get it to work with all types of restrictions in the way. So trying to get in the ring with one arm tied behind your back, that type of stuff. Yeah. So if you're used to typing in a command, and I gave this example in the Micronics, router rip, no auto, version 2. And then your network command, right? You always type this in, right? They teach you right from CCNA, always type it in. Maybe you don't exactly know what this no auto command does. I mean, you have some idea, but you never really learned it because is just automatic. You just typed it in. And you're going to have practice labs where they say, do not type no auto. Leave it on auto, and you go, holy crap, I've never done this before, right? Stuff like that. It's fun. I'll give you another example. Let's see, IPv6 tunnels. You got a router here, and let's say a router there, and there's crap in the middle. And you know, for those of you guys who have done tunnels, you know, you're used to doing like loopback 0, you know, originate it, loopback 0, loopback 0, right? It's kind of how you do it. GRE tunnel, IPv6 tunnel, whatever, right? And you know, one day they throw this curveball. You can't use loopback 0. You have to use this loopback over here, loopback 999, right? And you go, oh, well, okay, it's not a big deal. It's just a different loopback. But whoa, this is in EIGRP or something. This is in a completely different routing protocol, and there's some redistribution, and it just goes to all hell. All right. So they know this. They know that you do things a certain way, and if you do things always a certain way, you go on autopilot, and you don't know exactly what's going on. You don't know exactly how that command works, and this is what they are testing you on. They want to make sure you know all the bells and whistles to this. So before you begin, you should do a full and honest analysis of what you're going to get out of CCIE. You're looking at 800 to 1,000 hours of labbing. You're looking at least 9 months of labbing. You're going to sacrifice a lot. I know a lot of people are in this just for the money. You know, if I get CCIE, I will make 6 figures. So if you're just in it for the money, I would say to you that CCNP and some other stuff will take a lot less time and a lot less headache. You don't necessarily need CCIE to get the big bucks. Now, if you're in this for the challenge and the knowledge, then you're in the right place. Then you're good to go. If you're looking at this more as an investment, you know, let's say I don't know how old most of you guys are, but let's say you're like 30-ish, mid-30s, maybe 40s. Assuming you pass, you got 20 years of increased income and prestige and stuff like that. So could get you different jobs and stuff like that. So just do that analysis before you embark the journey. And once you decide to get CCIE, then you go 100%. Don't do what I did, is like start, stop, start, stop. It's not cool. If you take a prolonged break and you come back to labbing, it's very tough to get back into the game. Keep in mind your workbook costs, your boot camp costs. You know, you're looking at for boot camps, you know, if they're 10 days, 2 weeks, $4,500 for Narvik, and we'll talk about the discount that you can get to what's INE? They're somewhat in the same range, somewhat like $4,500, $5,000 for the 2-week versions. Travel, hotel, flights, all that good stuff. Your lab attempts are going to cost money, $1,600, because, you know, we know that virtual costs more money, so they had to raise the price, along with your car rental and your flights and stuff like that. So look at whenever you do a lab attempt, just look at it as $2,500. It's just how much it's going to cost you for that. And budget like 2 or 3 lab attempts. Don't be those people where you have to pass on the first attempt. It happens once in a while, but a lot of dreams get crushed that way. And get the full backing of your family and understanding of your family before you go on this journey. It's going to make your life a lot easier. And we have a previous video if you want to watch it. I suggest you watch it. It's with Tim Cribbs. He was part of the study group and he passed it last year. kind of a unique way of passing it. He worked at the Pentagon. He was Marine Corps, and he couldn't bring a laptop in the Pentagon. Kind of makes sense, right? And so what he did is he printed up the workbooks and he labbed on paper, and he passed. So it seems to work. Now he didn't just lab on paper. When he went home, he labbed on real gear. But while he's at work, he's labbing on paper, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. If you guys remember Dungeons and Dragons from way back when, they're asking this question: how would I do it? And he would write out the configs on paper, and then check them against the answers later. So kind of an interesting way of studying. Going for CCIE, it's one of those where a lot of workplaces, I've gone into and interviewed. As soon as they hear that you're going for CCIE, if the person interviewing you is a CCIE or has gone through the same thing, that's a instant respect right there. Now a lot of people say they're going for CCIE, so always expect the next question like, oh, what have you done? Because there's some people that say, okay, I'm going for CCIE. They buy the Cisco Press book, and these people. The book just stays on their desk, very shiny. It's never been opened before. There's no post-it notes or anything in there. So, if you're like that, then that's no brownie points. But if you tell people you're going for CCIE, you've done the boot camps, you've done the workbooks, you've gone to the lab, you've attempted it, in a lot of places that is major brownie points just right there. Also, another thing about CCIE is a lot of you guys, I would hope, are either the #1 guy on your network at your workplace, or at least maybe in the top, 10% of your workplace. And Cisco knows this. Be prepared in the CCIE lab. Let's say there's the 8 spots in San Jose. I'm sure all 8 spots, whenever I go, all 8 of those people are the #1 people of their workplace. And Cisco don't care. Cisco don't play. Just because you're #1 at your 5-person medical product team, doesn't really matter. So it can be a very humbling experience when you're going through this. And the Cisco Learning Network has a couple videos. You'll hear this saying a lot. Let's see if I can remember it. Know what you don't know. It's a weird saying. Know what you don't know. So what the heck does that mean? So before CCIE, I'll give you my story, is you complete CCNP, you're on top of the world, you think you're badass, you think you know everything, right? But when you start going through these workbooks, you're like, man, I didn't know shit, right? You go through Narbix Bootcamp, perfect example. You think you know OSPF, you go through Narbix Bootcamp, you don't know OSPF. You have no clue how OSPF works until you go through Narbix Bootcamp. Which is kind of weird that I'm saying this because this is an INE talk, but you guys get the point. If you go to the INE Bootcamp, I'm sure there's things that when they talk about, when they do it, you'll be like, whoa, holy crap. So it's knowing what you don't know, realizing that, okay, I need to study BGP a little bit more because I suck at it. Stuff like that. Know what your weaknesses are. Because the CCIE lab is very good at pointing out, I don't know how they do this, but whatever your weakness is, whether it be multicast or BGP, they freaking find it. Don't know how they do it, but they zero in on that shit. I don't think those are it. Those sound like the actual 360 workbook. So you know how INE has a workbook, Micronics has a workbook, that would be a 360. I'm going to guess that's a 360 workbook. Yeah, I'm wondering if they're revising it and they took it down. So that could be it. Okay, so we got a couple questions. Let's see what we got here. Okay, IP Experts having a sale. Yes, they are. IP Experts been kind of on a tear, trying to undercut and get back into the market. Cyrus has a question. What if you work for a channel partner? Can you see those videos for free? Huh? What videos? Well, if you work for a channel partner, it's whatever the channel partner buys for you. So you don't get to see Cisco 360 videos for free, that's for sure. And you don't want to see Cisco 360 videos. Trust me, they suck. And I'm willing to go on recorded video for that. Monica asks, when do you usually start going for the boot camp in this whole process? Okay, that's a good question. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but that's okay. So in the Advanced Technology Workbook, you're starting off in, I think it's switching, and then you go, and then you end up, I don't know what the last section is, but let's just say QoS, whatever the last section is. All right. I would say that somewhere in BGP, I would schedule your boot camp, and maybe by the time you start doing MPLS, that you actually go to the boot camp. So somewhere in here. And the reason I say that is if you take your boot camp too early, it's going to be a waste, complete freaking waste, because you're not going to understand anything. You're just going to be sitting there going, oh crap, I don't know anything. And if you schedule your boot camp too late, you're not going to get the. One of the things about a boot camp is it's supposed to show you what you need work on. So if you kind of take it in here, then you still have time to kind of fix problems beforehand. But if you take it too late, then it could very well be that, okay, I need to fix everything, which may or may not be that big of a deal. So I recommend somewhere after you've done like 4 or 5 months of advanced technology topics. Just definitely at least able to get through all of your IGP. How about that? You should have no problems with IGP. EIGRP, OSPF, redistribution, some BGP, and then go to the boot camp. Now, a lot of people say, okay, boot camp's kind of expensive. Yes, it is expensive. You're talking $5,000. Hopefully your work can pay for it. But if the cool thing about a boot camp is that you get that instructor, the instructor in front of you, whether you go to INE, whether you go to NARBIC, whether you go to IP Expert, you get that instructor. He's gone through the lab. He's been teaching for a while. You get the rack rental for the week. But the really good thing, and I know people have gone through the boot camps before, can back me up on this, is the networking that you do with other people, the friends you make. I still keep in touch with all my NARBIC, my Micronics buddies out there, and it helps a lot when you meet people in person. So a lot of the Router Gods members are former Micronics bootcamp guys. We got INE bootcamp guys in there too. So you're going to meet those contacts. They're all hiring. Like right now, everyone's hiring, and they're able to put a good word for you. So, basically, what's cool about, in my position is if I wanted to and I wanted to pick up and bail to like Seattle or Texas or wherever, I can do that. And that's from the contacts I made in my boot camps. So that's another dimension that you need to look at for going to a boot camp. Yes, it's a lot of money, but look at it as investment to not only learn, but to meet people. Any other questions for mental preparation? So Francisco has a question. Any thoughts about IP Expert? Don't know. Haven't gone through their boot camp. I've watched their videos. Decent. RNS workbooks. They have RNS workbooks. I don't know. I would be hopeful that they're somewhat okay. but we don't have an IP expert study group in Router Gods, just because there's not enough people. Okay, requirements. A lot of this should be self-explanatory here. Yeah, it's an INE study group. You must be a paid INE customer, so you need to be paid workbooks. I suggest that you either print them out or pop them on a tablet, put them on a different screen if you have two screens, something like that. It's going to make your life a lot easier. They have specials. I think they just had like a Memorial Day special. They have the specials where they offer their AAP, the All Access Pass, and you get the workbooks. So, it's almost like they're trying to give you the workbooks for free, because they want you to go through the boot camp. They want you to pay for a boot camp. So that's kind of the way they're looking at it. How many of you have not seen an INE workbook? You have not seen the Advanced Technologies workbook. Or you're looking to buy it, but you're kind of holding off. Okay, so I don't need to go through a demo of their workbook. Okay, so you should own it. Or you have to own it. You must own it to participate in this study group. And it's only fair that they spend the time and the money to make it. Why not pay them for it? They deserve the money. Skill level, we talked about this. Don't need to talk about it. Should be kind of CCNP-ish level. You should have some way of labbing. Kind of duh. You can't watch. You can't have a black screen like has happened before. You've got to be labbing. You've got to share your screen. And we'll talk about the different ways that you can lab in just a second. Headset. Need a headset, because echoes are damn annoying. Just we need to hear you. You need to hear us. That's just the way it goes. You don't have to get a crazy headset. I popped in a link there for a $20-ish headset, USB Logitech. It works just fine. Or if you want to go like completely crazy, you can spend like hundreds of dollars, $100 on like a Plantronics gamer headset, padded, stuff like that. It's up to you what you want to do. I will tell you that as you spend lots of time labbing, if you wear glasses, if you buy a crappy headset, it's going to hurt, because it's going to pinch the glasses against your head. So get some nice padding for that. And not a hard requirement, but it's going to make your life a lot easier. A multiple monitor will help a lot. Question about requirements. Cool. We are more than almost there. Okay, resources that are available to you as Router Gods members. We've got multiple Slack rooms. Most of you have already found it. If you're not on Slack, you're missing out. You're missing out on jobs. You're missing out on the community. You're just missing out on a lot of stuff. That's one of our main features of Router Gods. If you're not in the Slack room, send me email with your first and last name and your email address. It's our main way of communication. We don't do email too much anymore. It gets ugly. I don't like getting personal emails because what happens is people start thinking I'm their guru. So I get hit with emails every day like, how do I do this? How do I do this? So just go on Slack for that. We've got our main. We'll talk about the actual rooms in a second. We got a GNS3 conversion in progress. I've actually started it, and I've gotten done all the way up to redistribution case 1. So you can double click on it, and GNS3 pops up, and it's ready to go. We've got routing bits, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, routing bits is a study sheet or study booklet that a guy did, and it's his name is Ruhan, and it's 359 pages. Now it is for V4. He hasn't really updated it yet for V5, but it's still a very good deal. Still awesome. And what it is it's a it's kind of like crib notes. If you guys remember those, or those yellow books that you would buy in the bookstore if you didn't want to read like Les Miserables. Cliff Notes, yeah. And what we have here, different sections, and if I click on BGP, tells you it condenses it down. We've got the commands and stuff like that. Pretty cool stuff. I would always have this open when I did my labbing. Whenever I had our previous labbing sessions, this would be my go-to thing instead of the crappy Cisco documentation. This usually had the answer 60% of the time or 70% of the time. And also what I like about this is at the end of every section, if I go to BGP, Jesus, this is long, peer groups, troubleshooting BGP, because we know there's a troubleshooting section in the lab, and tells you like, hey, if you run into this, if you don't see the BGP session coming up, try this, try that. Route selection issues, try this thing. Prefix not showing up. BGP errors, what's all that about? MPLS. So very good deal. We get a pretty good discount. We get a 20% discount. Just tell the guy you are a member of Router Gods and you get 20%. So that's quite a good deal. We also have, this is made by Jeff Denton. He's at feralpacket.org. Pretty cool domain name there. He's made two things. He's done a CCIE progress tracker for the OCD types. So one of the things with studying is you study something and you go and then you don't see it again for like 5 weeks, and you kind of think, when did I last study that? I studied it, but maybe I should review it. So this study tracker has like all the DocCD listings, the workbooks broken down into sections. It's both INE and NARBIC, and also the exam topics, the exam blueprint. So it's pretty cool. It's free. If you see them, you owe them a beer because it took a long time to make. And it's pinned up in the CCIE Slack room. So you just go in there and it's there. He also made a DocCD mind map, which is massive. And so you could take a look at that as well. Free stuff that he's made. Yep. And let me just take a look at the questions. And Jeff's converted initial configs for IOU if anyone needs them. So that's cool. And Cyrus, I suggest you email that because this chat's going to be destroyed after the meeting. And Jeff just recently added INE stuff to the progress tracker, so that's good. Okay, Slack specifics. We have the main room for CCIE folks is #CCIE. And this is available to anyone. You can be a NARBIC guy, you can be an INE guy, God forbid you're a Cisco 360 guy or gal. You can go in the CCIE room for general CCIE questions. Now, for the INE guys and the NARBIC guys, in the bottom left-hand corner there's a private room. So a private room is CCIE, well, it's listed here. So CCIE NARBIC and CCIE INE. PM me with like your invoice details or a screenshot of the all access pass, or something to prove that you are a paid customer. You can't just say, oh yeah, I'm an INE customer. Well, I don't know that you're an INE customer. You could have pirated the workbook, so that's not going to fly. So I need to have some type of assurance that you are a paid customer. And then I let you in the room, and what these rooms are for is these are specific rooms for those people. So when you're labbing, outside of the study group, or could be inside the study group, they'll say, okay, BGP task 5, I'm having this trouble. Is anyone else having the same thing? Also, it's good for keeping in touch with like boot camp buddies and stuff like that. So right now, sorry to say, but the Narvik room is a lot busier than the INE room because most of the previous guys from last month's boot camp, or this month's boot camp, it's this month's boot camp, yeah, from this month's boot camp, we're all in the Narvik room talking. So, so it's just the way it is, right? So hopefully, as you guys get added into the INE room, it'll get a lot busier. And so to get into these rooms, you just, after you join Slack, just PM me with that information. Once you get in the room, in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on this deal right here, this I, it's right next to the number of people there, it will tell you pinned items. And pinned items are kind of like bookmarks. And that's where we have converted config. So I already have the converted config for at least the first couple sections of the INE Advanced Technology Workbook, all the way up to redistribution case 1. And we'll have to figure something out for switching and stuff like that, but not a big deal. And if you're part of the Slack room, edit your profile, go into your profile and set the location. So it's basically, when you edit your profile, there's a box saying what you do. So most of you have put like network engineer or something like that. So put network engineer, comma, wherever you're located, comma Texas, comma Florida, and that just gives us an idea of how to do our study groups and the timing and stuff like that. Okay, nitty-gritty, ways to lab. So as we said, there's advantages and disadvantages to all of this. There's no perfect or best way. So a lot of people are using GNS3 and it's fine. Some people are using Viral. God help you, that's okay. There's people using rack rentals. Now for rack rentals, I've got to say INE rack rentals are badass. They've got periodic 50% off the 2-for-1 tokens and stuff like that. Their interface is very slick. It's just a good product. Probably I would say the best out of everyone is their rack rental. So if you don't want to, if GNS3 intimidates you for whatever reason, then you could just plunk down on like 5 billion tokens on INE and just go to town with INE rack rentals. Who needs a demo of their rack rental system? Who has not seen their rack rental system? All right, so let's do this. So when you become an INE customer, you have a login page. You just go to INE.com, upper right corner, there's a login. You're presented with a dashboard that shows all your courses that you've paid for. So I paid for the blended, routing and switching, so I get the workbooks and stuff like that. And I got my service provider because I went to their service provider boot camp, so I got that as well. And this is the token balance in the bottom left corner. It looks like a lot of well, it is kind of a lot of tokens, but it goes fast. Now for the rack rentals, you click on rack rentals, upper left corner. And we've got, it costs different amounts. So you can see version 5 tokens. What I do is I click schedule. And it's got the date ranges here. Now what I can do is I can select a date. Let's say I want to lab, during Cisco Live, June 10th. It's June 10th. And let's say starting at 7 p.m. Done. And then you could schedule all the way to like whatever, right? 10 p.m. So 3 hours. All right, 3 hours. Stuff like that. Oh, this is cool. You could just do it now. Just give me a rental right now. And then what you can see is you have upcoming sessions that you can look at, which is pretty nice. You also have a calendar view. And this tells you what racks are available, so if there's availability. So it looks like lots of stuff available. And it's 5 tokens. I think it's 5 tokens per hour, I believe. Previous rentals. Those are my previous rentals. And the config manager, this is where, this is the cool thing about INE's rack rentals, is you can save your configs. So you have a rack rental, it's stopping in 1 hour. You could save your configs. You could call it a name like halfway done with BGP. And then the next time you start up a rack rental, you could fire in those configs. Also, what's happening is they've got, you can load in configs. So if you're practicing the EIGRP section of the workbook and it tells you load in initial EIGRP, you can do a drop down, pick that, wait a couple minutes, and then your rack is all ready to rock with those configs. So it makes it very easy because it ties in with their workbooks. Okay, let's see. Just taking a look at some of the questions. Cyrus says, what's wrong with viral? Viral sucks. I'll just say that straight out. Viral sucks. Maybe if you wait 6 months, it'll get better, but yeah. It's slow, the install sucks. Just I could keep going on and on and on, but that's for another day. Okay, so that's the rack rental. Pretty cool stuff. You know, if you want to wait for the 2-for-1 deals, then I recommend it. Be careful with buying tokens. I've seen people go nuts with the tokens. You see this a lot on the forums. I passed my CCIE and I still have 3,000 tokens. Well, I think you bought too much. So yeah, buy them like, I don't know, 1,000 at a time or something like that. Because with 1,000 tokens, I could lab for 220 hours on routing and switching V5. That's a lot, right? So just something to keep in mind. And when you buy the tokens, you have other tracks as well if you want. Okay, so that was the rack rental walkthrough. But a cool thing about INE is INE works very well with GNS3. And all you have to do with INE is the GNS3 dumb switch. And the way this works is it pushes the config to the interfaces. So you just drag in the dumb switch. And this is router 1, router 2. You know, you connect all the routers up. And what's happening is these are all sub-interfaces. So in their configs, it's gig, I think it's gig 10. You just have to do a mass replace. I already did that for you, so you don't need to worry about it. But I just did a mass replace, and it's fast00 dot something, right? And sub-interface incap.1q, blah, 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 blah. And what's cool is these are all access ports. This confuses the crap out of people in the beginning. So everything's access port, VLAN 1, and the VLAN tags go through. Like you're still getting all the VLAN tags, and then what the sub interface does is it looks at the tag and then picks off the appropriate packets. So it's very easy to do this in GNS3. And in fact, I've been sneaky about this, but I've had this running the whole time on while we were talking during this whole thing, and my processor usage with Fuse. So remember, I'm broadcasting, so my load is a lot more than you guys. I'm about 17 to 20%. Fuse is taking about 10%, so this is really 10%. And I've got Camtasia too, so it's very low power. And it looks like this. Let me just drag in the Super Putty. I got my 10 routers running. Let me change my font here. Okay, so this is R9, show IP interface brief. You can see everything's sub-interfaced out. If I ping all 255s, it's going to work just like normal. So there we go. So I get responses back 79.7. So that's a router 7. So it's fine, not a problem. And this will get you through 85, maybe 90% of that workbook, because a lot of the labs, other than switching and some other specialized stuff, a lot of the labs in there in the Advanced Technology Workbook, they're designed for virtual stuff, because INE switched to the CSR 1000Vs, and it works. It works fine. So GNS3 with the dumb GNS3 switch, you don't need anything fancy for that, and we're using the 7200 image. And once again, I've got that the conversion already done. If you want to do some switch specific stuff, we'll figure something out. But there is iOS V layer 2. It's ripped out of Viral, so I just like pulled it out, or someone pulled it out, and you can run that inside of GNS3. Works fine. It does use it's a little bit resource intensive, but if you have a Core i7, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. I know some of you are doing the GNS3 with the IOU, so you're using the GNS3 VM, and that's fine as well. Requires a little bit of setup, but after you got it set up, it's not too big of a deal. Resource-wise, not too bad. It's very low. As far as memory, very low as well. I've seen people run full topology on a 4 gig laptop. Not a problem. It's fine. Some people do the GNS3 with VMware. They've hacked it, and officially it'll be coming out in GNS3 1.4, where you'll be able to control VMware Workstation from within GNS3. So right now you could do it with VirtualBox, which is pretty cool, but in the future it'll be the same with VMware. Now, someone asked earlier about the Cisco Learning Labs, if they're any good. So Cisco Learning Networks has 2 products. They've got the Lab Builder, CCIE Lab Builder, and Cisco Learning Labs. Both of these products are subscription based, so you buy per hour. You buy a block. And I actually purchased this, I think it was a year ago. I purchased it because I saw it pop up and I'm like, hey, that's a good deal. 100-something bucks for all these hours. Why not? So I bought it. But freaking Cisco, to use Cisco Learning Labs, you must have a official Cisco 360 workbook. Okay, so this was the hell I went through. So I bought it. I'm like, okay, where's my hours? Where's my labs? And they said, oh, you need a Cisco 360 workbook. I've got Narbic's workbooks. Narbic is Cisco 360. Oh, that's not the right Cisco 360 workbook. I was like, okay, damn it, give me my refund. So for this, you need the actual Cisco 360 workbook, not the one that's part of. Yes, I know you get the Cisco 360 workbook in Narbic's Bootcamp in addition to his workbooks, but for some reason it's not the same. They want you to buy a different one. So that's the downside to this, is basically it's out of your reach. Now, as far as Cisco CCIE Lab Builder, I've heard good things about it, but I've never actually played with it. This is also subscription based. It's per hour. So, you know, the way I kind of look at this type of stuff, INE's got the lock on the rack rental. Just go with, you know, F it. Just go with INE. You've got the workbook already if you bought the workbook. So it just makes sense to go with INE versus Cisco's stuff. Now, if you do want to use Viral, fine. Brian McGahan has converted topologies, so you could click on that link in the hackpad, and I think he's already done the work for you. Layer 2 switching has just been added. For the most part, there's still some things that don't work. You have a 15 device limit. Shouldn't be a problem with advanced technologies because that's 10 in a switch, so 11. I don't like the setup of Viral. You can see the previous videos about it. It's just a train wreck. And then you have your annual cost, subscription based. So I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to renew it when it comes time. I'm not using it enough. And then some people use ESXi. And rack rental, or we talked about rack rental. Real gear, it's up to you whether you want to buy real gear. I think now with the lab being all virtual, I'm seeing a lot of people selling their real racks. So if they went through V4 and maybe they didn't pass and now they're in V5, they've just like sold everything. So right now you can buy, if you want real gear, you can find it for real cheap on eBay, just because everyone's dumping their stuff. But I would say as far as real gear right now, not necessary. Okay, let's see. Just kind of looking through the questions. Patrick, does anyone use WebIOU? We don't talk about that one. Yeah. Let's see. Wi-Fi is an issue, and XOS. Cyrus says Wi-Fi is an issue, and XOS. Yeah, well, yeah. We don't have to worry about that in routing and switching V5. Okay, questions about the ways to lab. Okay, continue on. We're almost done. We're almost out of here. Okay, some GNS3 specifics. You should have, if you're going to do GNS3 with the Google Hangouts, decent computer, Core i7, 8 gigs of RAM at least, SSD, highly recommended. The 7200 image, this is the exact image that you can Google, and you'll probably find it. It doesn't have to be the exact, but if you Google for this, you'll find it. Some of the enhancements inside of GNS3 is I give it 512 megs if for some reason your GNS3 does not give it. INE doesn't use serial interfaces, so very different than Narvik. Narvik's topology uses serial interfaces, INE does not. So it just makes the GNS3 conversion really easy. Just no sweat at all. And I used a program called Text Crawler to do a mass change. I changed all of INE's configs in like 30 seconds. Really cool. How many of you have not seen Text Crawler? I'll just do like a 5-second demo. I have a video about it, so you can watch the video, but we'll just do a demo here. And is it starting? Yeah, that took a long time to start. All right, so Text Crawler is freeware. You'll see it on your screen right here. Basically, you look through, you give it a filter, so I'm going to say like all text files, and then you say find something. It's going to open up every text file, it's going to find something, and then replace it with something. So let's say, no. Let's see, IP address. Oh, hold on. Star.star, let's see that. There we go. So what I said is all files in this folder and subfolders, look at that. So these are all the words IP address in there. So if I wanted to change these somehow, then I could replace all with something else. But what you would be doing is gigabit 10, replace it with fast 00, and it would fly through and replace all of those. I misspelled it. Let's say gig. Oh, I already converted these. So let's say fast Ethernet. So look how fast that is. It just went through 600 text files and found all that stuff. So as I click through these, it says, okay, in this particular file, I found this much. In this particular file, I found this much. So it's a lot better than doing it by hand, by far. So I've already done it for you, but if you want to play around with Text Crawler, I highly recommend it. Now, what I also did is, there's a really cool utility called bulk rename utility. This is for you guys that the INE files are .cfg, so I like converting them to all txt. So what this does, this doesn't actually look in the file. This is a file name replacement. So in the bottom right corner there, you'll see extension. I can remove .cfg. I pick a folder and it'll go through all the subfolders and just rip out all the extensions. I can also add extensions. I can change timestamps. For all you guys, the FBI's after you and you're afraid they're going to image your hard drive. So you can go in here and you can change all the timestamps of your whatever weird files that you want to hide from the FBI. So it's pretty neat utility. Also free. All right. One thing in GNS3, by default, you have Ghost iOS support checked. I suggest unchecking it. And what that is Ghost iOS is a thing that copies on your hard drive a file. So it's a trade-off. So on your hard drive, it makes a file to simulate the RAM and the flash. So if your image is using 512 megs, instead of using RAM, it's going to punt it over to your hard drive. And so if you use 8 routers, the 8 routers, all of that storage is going to be on the hard drive and not in RAM. So this is useful for people who don't have RAM. But these days, most people have a decent amount of RAM. And so what you want is when you disable Ghost iOS support, then you shove the 8 routers into RAM and you keep the hard drive low. Right? So you're trading off RAM for hard drive, and in the other way you're trading off hard drive for RAM. It's just two ways of doing it. Now the reason you want to disable Ghost support is if you want to share your labs, you want to share your topology. If you have Ghost iOS support checked, and some of you have already seen this, when you zip up that folder, it's going to be 5 gigs large or 4 gigs. And go, why? What's going on here? You'll see .ghost. These .ghost files are humongous, and that's because it's the RAM of the router is actually on the hard drive. Also, if you uncheck the enable Ghost iOS support, GNS3 tends to be a little more stable. At least that's what I've found. Okay, subinterfaces, text crawler. Oh, one other thing is conversion. I haven't actually done this yet, but when you get to the EIGRP section and a lot of sections with costs and stuff, remember with gigabit, gigabit speed is 1,000. When you convert it to fast Ethernet 00, what's going to happen? Your speed is 100, so all your costs are going to be off by 10. So what I need to do is I need to go back in. You could do it as well. You can add in the speed 1000 so that all costs are figured against this. But that's only going to come up in certain labs where you're dealing with cost. Most likely it's going to be EIGRP. So if you're using something, you're looking at their answer sheet for whatever questions, and you see the costs are off by 10. Then you know that it's because of that conversion. But we'll fix that. We'll fix that in the future. Ooh, all right. So let's take a look at whatever questions we have left. Okay, any questions on anything before we head out of here? I've got about 10 minutes that I can stay. Anton has a question. Slack room, do we need an invitation? Yes, I just said it. You need an invitation. What happens if there's more people than Hangouts can support? I don't think we'll hit that. I foresee that we will not hit that issue. And the reason is, right now I'm looking at the Slack room for INE, and there's not a lot of people in that room. And that's where I'm posting the links to start the Google Hangouts. So the way this works is I start the Google Hangouts, and then I post the link inside the Slack room, so the INE room. And if you're not in the INE room, well, you're not going to get the link. So right now there's 11 people. I'm guessing there's going to be more as people send in their invites. But yeah, so I don't think we'll run into the 15-person limit. But if we do, well, you know, first come, first serve, or you could kind of form your own group. You know, it's just we can't accommodate everyone. I mean, 15 is kind of the limit on. It's still intimate. It's still it's still small enough to where we could kind of see each other and get to know each other and be friends and stuff like that, without getting too out of hand. Once you start getting above 15, it's nuts. But 15 is the hard limit for that particular version of Google Hangouts.